wanted to mention something about fear-based programming, and I know I covered a lot of ground, but I thought maybe a way I can impart this in a way that I experienced it um, that is coupled to experiences that the rest of you have all had, as a way in which we all look in the mirror to look at the underlying causality of how the programming works, what I call fear-based programming, parasitic programming, memory module programming to live in a lower frequency consciousness, okay? Which in reality is fear to express who we really are, okay? As a result of what? Well, one thing I just thought about is measuring the outcome of the result. So do we already know the result if we express ourselves freely? So are we expressing ourselves freely? How are we measuring that? So if you know the outcome, if we express ourselves in one way versus another way, or any way in which we can, we're measuring what the potential results of all that can be, and that becomes risk perception. We're perceiving the potential risk of expressing ourselves freely in an environment in which we know that we have predators, molesters, okay? Others around us that don't run on the same high-speed frequency that we do, because they run in lower frequency than we do. So when you look at the underlying causality of how that all works, which I call a frequency distribution map, which represents the terrain, the terra, the zoo, everything that's here, how we have an interface with everything that is here, that we're all communicating with each other, that we're measuring in the way in which we're experiencing the energy exchange between the communicators. So the most simple analogy I can think of, I always go back to my childhood of being in a school. So when you think of the purpose of a classroom, which is its function, okay, what is the function for being here? Because if I'm a student and you're a teacher, then I'm going to ask you the first question: why are we here? What is the purpose and function of this classroom and you as a teacher? Well, a teacher would say to impart information, and these are the learning objectives. Okay, so what are we going to learn how to do? Now, I covered that in a previous lesson, okay? But in this particular case, because I could be out surfing if I wanted to go be with the girl on the planet, okay? So I think freely expressing yourselves, ourselves, okay? Here's one for you. How many of us, for example, you have a doctor, okay? So for example, I have a wound right there, okay? It's open still. This was a result of a displaced fracture that I had about 1.5 years ago, and slipped on some water in a hospital room because I had difficulty breathing. And I went in there to get a breathing treatment, and as a result of that, the bone busted in half. So an orthopedic surgeon made an incision, put some hardware in there. Right now, I'm not going to get into all the self-repair stuff, what could have been done versus what happened, okay, and how we perceive trust. See, in my world, if I trust you, and I automatically have to trust you, because if I change the universe I believe that I live in, okay, which means if I am what love is and you are what love is, then I automatically trust who you are because I trust who I am, because we both share the same high-speed frequency wave resonance in that field. So I know you're never going to do anything to harm me. So I have to trust you. Because as soon as I begin to mistrust you and think you're going to do something based on lack of knowledge that might hurt me, then I'm going to be in fear of the potential risk of putting my life in your hands. Okay? That's fear-based programming. I can't allow myself to experience anything less than what love is. Because when I was a child, I'm not supposed to experience anything less than what that is. So you have to navigate your state of consciousness, okay, in a field in which you're dealing with lower consciousness, okay? And that's the nature of what I call navigating to a vampiric energy zone, which is the different states of consciousness that we're experiencing here. Okay, that's a benchmark. That's sort of like the baseline from which we start learning about how the programming works. So, for example, in this case, if you want to means test this, it's real simple to do. Start thinking about all the questions that you have in your mind and all the things you wished you could have expressed that you didn't out of fear. That's called resistance. How much resistance you have in all your circuits. How much resistance or how do I put this? What is preventing you from fully expressing who you are? And why can't you express fully who you are? Okay? And we know that love is the absence of fear, which means I'm not in fear of anything. I will express whatever I have to say wherever I go, and if you don't like it, tough shit, right? We have to measure the response based on the state of consciousness that we're interfacing with. Because although in one case I might express myself freely, the internal response of the translator who's receiving the communication might not perceive that in a way in which the outcome is one that is beneficial for both of us, which is what love is. So in this case, when I think of a doctor, for example, hey, this surgeon right here botched this thing because the wound never healed because of where he placed the incision. As one doctor put it when he looked at it, it's like fraying rope. As long as you're moving your arm, it's going to keep fraying the rope. Well, that wasn't, didn't he think about that before he made the incision in the place that he did? Well, the guy made a mistake. Another surgeon might have done a better job. Well, who knows? So I was putting my hands in what would appear to be somebody that I have to trust is going to do a good job. So now I have to deal with the wound until I find another orthopedic surgeon, and I don't know if he's going to do a better job. Do it? No, I don't. But I have to trust and hope that whatever his skill level is will fix it so that I don't have to be distracted by this thing anymore. That's the whole thing about self-repair. So that you're never distracted from being able to create what it is that love imagines. It's one of the reasons she gave you the avatar that she did, with self-repair in it. It's why they took it out, so that you pay the master for all your suffering. So they don't heal anybody, do they? So the next time you go to a doctor, tell them, listen, did you know that I used to have self-repair in this avatar? This avatar was created by a goddess, by a girl. So you don't want to hurt a girl, do you? Because this is her creation. So I hope that you take very good care of it when you decide to do something that I hope is in the best interest of the girl that created this. Imagine you said something like that to your doctor. What would the response be? How many girls do you know, or guys do you know, they would even say anything like that to their doctor? I guarantee you, if they don't say anything like that, it's out of fear of what the response would be of the guy who's the doctor or the girl that's the doctor that's receiving that transmission from us. Why is that? Because we already know that their belief that a goddess created something like this, they're not going to believe that. And that might skew the relationship that you have with the doctor, in which you have a relationship with that doctor based on the information that they're using to treat who you are that's not meant to heal you. Put that in your hopper and spin that through your vortex, because that's how it works here. So, you know, this is where there's things that we know and things that we don't say. Why not? Out of fear? We're not fear-based beings. We're love-based beings. So if we're truly love-based beings and we're not living in any fear, then that means we have to change the equation. So that means at some point in time, we've got to say, hey, listen, I'm coming from a point of love. So understand that I do this because I love you. We've got to take a look at how we're conducting business with each other, right? How we translate the relationships that we have in ways that are the most beneficial to everybody that's here. So when I consider everybody that's here, it's not just people that are walking around bipeds, you know, 2 arms, 2 feet, and a head, okay? I'm talking about birds, dogs, horses, dolphins, whales, a fox, a wolf, a cat, a sea otter, everything that's here, okay? Because I do my level best to treat them no different than the way I would treat me, which is what love is, right? So imagine you live in a world like that. Imagine you live in a world where you communicate with everything that's living in spirit. So I just wanted to impart that as a way to sort of see the direction that we're all going in. You know? One timeline, a fear-based timeline, and a love-based timeline. I know a love-based timeline goes on forever because that's what the light is. There'll always be light in the cosmos. So fear collapses on itself. It has to. It's a lower waveform. It's got to grow its roots, right? It starts from a seed, grows roots, grows. It's putting out energy. The energy producers of the cosmos. The fear-based units, okay, are wanting to feed on the light because they're losing their state of awareness of what is out there, which means their universe is getting smaller. That's tunnel vision. So instead of their universe getting bigger by attracting more light, which means they're aware of more stuff, wow, everything that is out there is what love is. That's right. That's the purpose of this classroom, okay? That's like, duh. Bang, a light bulb goes off. Go take a look at our light bulb. Go look and see how hot it burns. You know, I used to put a picture of that thing up all the time. Hey, look at this light bulb. We're all in that light. Our state of consciousness is in all that light. That's how we use our neurotransmitters to connect to heart to heart to heart. Blow the candle power way up, raise the frequency all across the planet. Right? That changes the reality from something we're in fear of to something we're in love with, which is each other, which is the energy that we're running to be who we are. And imagine the potential of what happens when that happens. Okay? The potential is unlimited. Everything we do when it comes to healing, when it comes to getting hurt, fixes itself automatically. Because it's not about me, it's about all of us. What is in the best interest of all of us. So anyway, I thought I'd leave you everything that I sort of put up this morning as a way in which to proceed through all the light of what love is. How, because the energies are intensifying and speeding up, we don't want to lose nobody, right? Because they can't get it up. So anyway, I love you all dearly with all my heart. Hope that you have a nice, beautiful day. The sun is out. The energy feels good. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here.